You want me to put that on my todger?
Harry's wife. Harry gets another kicking. We all know Harry's not that bright. We all know as well that his handler doesn't care about him and only sees him as an appliance, subconsciously of course, that is there to serve her needs. He must be controlled. He must provide her with fuel. He must provide her with character traits and those all-important residual benefits. His behaviour is such that where he does good things that the world praises him for, they're her good things because he's an extension of her. Where he fouls up, she cuts him loose. She distances herself. She does not provide him with either warning or support because her narcissism dictates it is unnecessary because he's painted black and he's in the sustained devaluation. A combination of Harry's paranoia, the vulnerabilities that he's experienced as a consequence of the loss of his mother, the way that the media is blamed for everything, is something that his wife has seized upon. She is engaged in the Diana duplication, at times transforming into his mother for the purpose of asserting control over him to plug a gap in this man's life. Furthermore, she exploits his vulnerabilities, feeding his paranoia, driving him to see a problem behind every corner, lurking behind every bush, hiding outside every window. This results in his strong narcissistic traits coming to the fore, and more are people expressing their distaste for his behaviour, which has been egged on by her. Brendan O'Neill in The Spectator writes, "It is often said that Prince Harry is a new royal. Emotionally literate, racially aware, eco-friendly, except when he's flying in a private jet to hang at Elton John's swanky pad in the south of France, he's nothing like the stiff royals of old. He's a metrosexual prince. He even occasionally partakes of a cheeky Nando's, as he revealed in his book Spare. I'm not buying it. Here's my question. If he's such a modern prince, a valiant escapee from the prison of aristocratic prejudice, why is he always throwing his monarchical weight around? Why is he so quick to wag a blue-blooded finger at the government, the press, even us, the plebs? Why does he come off as more entitled to hold forth on the democratically elected government of the day, no less, than even his father, the king? Pausing there, you will see that all of these behaviours were never engaged in prior to when he met Harry's wife. As I've explained before, he does have strong narcissistic traits: anger, argumentativeness, pride, vanity. These are exacerbated by the combination of his emotional thinking, which corrupts those traits and uses them against him, causing his anger to burst forth, his argumentativeness to be on display, that when his pride is dented, he responds in a churlish and nasty manner. He has been emboldened, of course, by his wife, who, puppeteering him, her hand rammed up his backside, causing him to behave in a particular way. Only last week he talked about how he had brought an action against the Mirror Group newspapers to prevent the hatred and abuse that his wife was experiencing. Yet, of course, the events that were being complained of all took place prior to when his wife and he had met. He has been wound up. Like a clockwork key put into his back and twisted round and then he's let loose. Harry's wife has utilised him, of course, for her own uses, and at the same time has caused him to engage in these behaviours which were absent prior to her arrival. The author of the article writes, "New Royal My Foot. When I see Harry in action, whether he's fuming against the tabloids or chastising the Tory administration, I get a chilling vision of what it must have been like when we Brits lived under monarchs who had real power, when we had to suffer the arrogant decrees of people whose high standing derived entirely from their father's sperm." Harry embodies that pre-modern imperious style far more than any other Windsor. He's Harry the Tyrannical, the only senior member of the firm right now who is deploying his princeliness to political ends. Again, this has been encouraged, nay, insisted on, by Harry's wife. For me, the most disturbing thing in the phone hacking trial so far was Harry's denunciation of the government. Forget the alleged behaviour of the Daily Mirror, the Sunday Mirror and the People, all of which are accused by Harry of hacking his gadgets to get stories. It was the Prince's old-world scolding of Rishi & Co. that rattled me the most. He used his witness statement at the High Court to say that both the press and the government are at rock bottom. Britain is being judged globally by the parlous state of the current administration, he said. Democracy fails, he decreed, when the government and the papers get into bed in order to maintain the status quo. First, if Harry thinks we are going to take lectures on democracy from someone whose public clout is wholly a product of the medieval ideology of the royal bloodline, he must be off his rocker. But of course, you see, that is demonstrative of the fact he's not very bright. Second, what does he think he's playing at? The Guardian coyly says Harry broke with royal protocol with his government bashing. Let's put it more plainly. It is completely unacceptable for a prince to make such haughty, meddling statements. Once again, he never did before, but he does now because he's been wound up. He's been encouraged to behave this way. Harry is no normal citizen. He is the son of the king. He is fifth in line to the throne. It is an offence against this nation's great historical struggle to temper the power of monarchs and expand the power of the people for a prince now to exploit his inherited highness to damn our chosen representatives. The king must act. It strikes me that Harry has two choices. He either remains an HRH and keeps his drab Gardenista political views to himself, or he lowers himself to the level of the rest of us, becomes a simple citizen, and says what he wants. Then there is his tabloid phobia. This too echoes the despotic tendencies of royals of old, who loathed the low-rent press and its rousing of the rabble. We can all agree that it is not good to hack a person's phone, though it remains to be seen how much merit there is to Harry's claim that this was done to him on an industrial scale by the Mirror Group papers. But there is something deeply unsettling in Harry's one-man crusade to change the media, as he has described it. Who is it, of course, that he hangs around with? Most of the time, his wife. Who is it who sees herself as a global icon, a force for change, pronouncing high-handed statements about effecting such change? His wife. Monkey see, monkey do. Isn't this what the old Star Chamber aspired to do? Change the media, tame it, make it less radical in the name of the monarch? Isn't it what George III tried to do when he issued a warrant for the arrest of that hero of press freedom, John Wilkes, after he dared to criticise the king in his roguish paper, The North Briton? Isn't it what the royals sought to do in their persecution of Daniel Isaac Eaton, the great 18th century radical journalist who was prosecuted 8 times between 1793 and 1812, primarily for publishing seditious libels against monarchy? The fight for freedom of the press in this country was precisely a fight for the right to mock kings and princes. So every Brit who values this freedom should recoil when a prince now asks, who on earth is policing the newspapers? As Harry asked, who polices the press? Not you, sonny. There is a whiff of snobbery to Harry's loathing of the low press. Read Spare and you'll see it. The truly scary part of the tabloid phenomenon is that some readers actually believe they're rubbish, he says. Oiks have stories drip-fed to them day by day, and they come to believe them without even being aware, he writes. We're so dumb, you see, and therefore cleverer, better, Windsor-blooded Harry feels he has a moral duty, as The Guardian puts it, to change the media. Where is the pushback against Harry's monarchical antics? The bourgeois left is itself so anti-tabloid that it is cheering the spoilt prince's war on the red tops, rather than warning about what can happen when royals use their unearned influence to bristle at the press, the people, the government. Prince Harry roasts the British press, yelps Guardian columnist Owen Jones. Imagine if Owen had been around 250 years ago. King George just totally owned John Wilkes, he might say. Harry, stop. Your anger at the press does not give you the right to try to muzzle it. Press freedom matters more than your feelings. Another kicking for Prince Harry. Another kicking as a consequence of his misguided comments and behaviour. Another kicking, and where is his wife defending him? Nowhere to be seen. She has encouraged him to embark upon this crusade because it also enables her to seek certain heads on plates. But moreover, should he fail, it provides her, retrospectively, with another reason to say to him that he has failed her as part of the looming disengagement. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.